Project Cars 2 is one of sim racing's most interesting titles. Most people either seem to love it or they hate it. One unique feature about this sim is the multi-class racing, and today I'd like to talk about that. The one thing Project Cars 2 does better than any other sim in my opinion is definitely the visuals. Driving through one of your favorite circuits during the rain or at night or during a sunset, it's nothing short of breathtaking. And as I mentioned, this game does feature both rain and nighttime without mods, while other games such as Assetto Corsa, you will have to install mods to get that feature. Not to mention the car sounds. The car sounds, while some of them do have their drawbacks, the one that they nail, they really nailed. The upshifting, the downshifting, the rev matching. Everything that you can do, for the most part, sounds as it should. Not to mention sounds of the track itself. Things like rain slapping your windshield, your windshield wipers going across wiping off the rain, the sound of the gravel going across the gravel traps, the tire smoke. I could go on and on and on. The sounds in this game are a lot better than a lot of people say they are, and I think they're definitely a big plus of this game. The AI in Project Cars 2 can be described as, well, tricky. First off, there is a very large range of adjustability, ranging from 0 all the way up to 120. So it doesn't matter if you're as slow as Williams or you're the next Patricio Award, there is something for you. Now, a massive drawback to these AI is that they can be unpredictable and act kind of erratic. You'll be driving along and sometimes you notice that they'll just bang sharply to the left or bang sharply to the right. Sometimes they spin out on their own and they will crash into each other. Sometimes that does end your race, and to be honest, it's nothing short of frustrating. You know, when you're 30 laps into an endurance race, you're doing against the AI, and all of a sudden all your progress is gone because you're brave enough to turn damage on, and well, your car's wheel is somewhere in North Dakota when you're racing in Texas. It's something that happens and you're going to have to get around. Although I will say, on most AI settings, you can get decent battles with them. Although some of the moves that they make will be very silly and not the smartest thing in the world, on occasions they will act in a manner that allows you to get a good fight if you have the AI set to a range that suits your driving style and driving capabilities. In my opinion, if you have enough friends, unlike me, to get a multiplayer race with a bunch of drivers in different classes, I think that would be a lot more fun, as the online Project Cars 2 experience is very, very good with a simple to use interface and generally not many glitches compared to other games like Forza Motorsport 7. Personally, I think that the unpredictable AI, while yes it can be frustrating at times, I think it does add a little bit of a challenge. It's like you're racing a bunch of mini Grosjeans mixed with a little bit of Max Verstappen. You get lots of aggressiveness, very aggressive, with the occasional crash, and you have to get around that while driving. I think it adds another element to the driving. I know some will definitely disagree with that statement, because 9 times out of 10 it does end in both of you guys into the wall. Lots of modern racing series nowadays do feature multi-class racing. WEC, IMSA, British GT, European Le Mans. I could go on and on and on. And in Project Cars 2, you can pretty much recreate them all to some level of accuracy. With LMP1s, 2s, and 3s, GT3, GT4, Ferrari Challenge Series, I could go on. There are lots and lots of cars and tracks to choose from, which means that if you wanted to recreate a series, you could do so to a certain level. Now obviously, it's not going to be completely up to date. You're not going to find, let's say, a 2018 McLaren 720 GT3 because this game is a little bit older, and that is one drawback doing this in 2020, that you will have to use some cars that are a year older. But you don't have to stick to series either. If you wanted to pin, let's say, an F1 car versus a NASCAR, you can do so, and I've tried. It's actually a surprisingly fun experience. There's also a very, very large track list that you can choose from, ranging from point-to-point races with stuff like California Highway or the Azure Coast, with famous racetracks like Le Mans, Bathurst, Brands Hatch, Coda. I could go on and on. Along with the track list, all of them have weather options. You can race in the rain, you can race in the fog, you can race in a bog, you can race in a tornado if you wanted to. Ignoring possibly the worst ever Dr. Seuss poem, I think that this freedom is a very unique piece of this game that adds a very fun element in you being able to choose whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want in the single player mode. Most would tend to agree with me when I say that the biggest drawback of Project Cars 2 is definitely the physics. A lot of cars do feel alright, but some of them don't feel as they should. For example, a lot of the LMP3 cars' brakes, if you touch them, you will spin. Trail braking, don't, or you will crash into someone. Or for example, the GT1 cars, I found that a lot of them are really hard to set up in a fast way. And even if you turn to online forums, you find that a lot of people are having these same issues. And some cars are just flat out unusable. Either they're completely too stiff, or they're too soft, they're unpredictable. When you turn in, you think it's going to do one thing, it's going to do completely the other thing. Because most of them you can fix with a setup to a degree, but some of them, it's just kind of throw it away. And I think that was a problem from the beginning, because Project Cars 2, I think the game was trying to do just a little bit too much, and then that trickled down to everything else. Now, these physical limitations aren't just for the cars. Some of the track surfaces do not feel right as well. For example, the wall on the inside of Spa heading down to Radion, do not touch it, or lots of death will occur. It's very frustrating because that happens a lot when going into wheel-to-wheel racing. Or the curbs at Road America. If you touch those curbs, it will spit your car out away from the track, which is really frustrating because Road America is essentially my home track, and while I'd like to drive it a lot more often, to be faster, I'm supposed to use like all of the curbs, but you can't, you can, however, it's a very big risk because sometimes it does it, sometimes it doesn't. It's overall a frustrating experience. While you can get around it, it is very, very, very hard to ignore. The Project Cars 2 multi-class racing experience is definitely one that's a tale of two halves. On one side, you have the very good side, the side where you're having fun with your friends or alone, where you're having good battles and good fights, working on strategy. It's overall very good. But then you do have those gremlins that make it somewhat difficult to enjoy, and that is a major, major setback for the title. I do think that overall the experience is positive. Project Cars 2 does do multi-class racing in a positive way. If you do find workarounds to these drawbacks, so I know I personally have, lots of others have, you can have lots of fun. And I think that it's something that is maybe overlooked in this game and should be explored more. Anyways, that's going to do it for today. I hope everyone enjoyed. Thank you to those who chose to stick around to watch for the whole thing. I will catch you guys in the next one. Stay happy, stay safe, stay positive. This is me, signing off. Peace out.